right, guys, how you doing? This is electrojed, and this is my review for Battle of the Bastards. I know it's coming out late. I mean, we've already had Winds of Winter, but I'm going to do Winds of Winter right after this. But I wanted to touch upon a few things about Battle of the Bastards. Anyway, this by far is one of my favorite episodes of all time of all the Game of Thrones episodes from all 6 seasons. It gave a lot of bang for the buck, for damn sure. Got to see lots of dragons, lots of warfare, lots of death and dismemberment, and it was just written correctly, and the music score was definitely on point. But let's get to the siege on Marine. When we first come in, when we first get back to Marine, and the episode starts, of course, it starts up where it left off the week before, where Marine is under attack, and Dany comes in at that particular time. Well, I like the way Tyrion explains that the city is actually doing better, in which it was. There was commerce going on, and it's just that the masters didn't want people to realize that they're not needed anymore. Slavery isn't needed, and it's being proved in Marine, and they didn't want that, so that's why they attacked. Well, Dany, of course, wanted to go ahead and blow shit up with her dragons and crucify everyone that attacked. Well, this wasn't a good idea. Tyrion talked her out of it, came up with a better plan, and thus we have the siege being squashed at the cost of 1 or 2 ships and 2 of the slave masters, which was the right 2, if you ask me. So, on top of calming things down in Marine, we get Yara and Theon meeting up with Dany, Tyrion, and yeah, that was interesting. First of all, look at that ass. Not for nothing, but Yara got the ass on there. Anyway, all right, I digress. The fact that they showed up in time to be able to get together with Dany. Of course, there's going to be some change. It is what it is. I thought the meeting between Yara and Dany was fucking awesome. Plus, the little flirt thing there was kind of cool. I liked it. Okay, so here we have the meeting between the Boltons and his bannermen, and Jon with his bannermen and Sansa. I thought the meeting was interesting, and the fact that Jon, offered to do single man combat with Ramsay was cool. Ramsay, of course, being too chicken shit to do it. The fact that Jon wanted Ramsay's bannerman to see that he's not that Ramsay's not willing to put his life on the line for his men. I thought that was a cool. I thought that was a cool move, and I totally respected that. But of course, Ramsay didn't know that Jon had an ace up his sleeve. If he did lose a fight, you got the Red Witch there to go ahead and res him back up. But moving on. Now that we get to the strategy meeting on what they're gonna do, I thought it was extremely. Excuse me. I thought it was extremely funny and entertaining that poor Torment doesn't know, doesn't understand the lingo that Jon's using about first a double envelopment and then the pincer move. You can't hit us. They won't be able to hit us from the sides. Oh, okay, that's fucking great. I like that idea. I thought that was fucking terrific. The battle plan they came up with was a sound plan. Unfortunately, they didn't stick to the plan. Does that make Jon a bad commander? No, because there have been plenty of commanders that made bad decisions, but it didn't necessarily make them bad commanders. They're not looked bad upon now. They just made some bad decisions. I'll be getting to that point in just a second. But what I did want to touch upon, though, is I understand Sansa wanting to be a part of all this, but she has No idea of strategy or anything like that. So exactly what good is she going to do in the plan making process? Absolutely zero input, zero. But the fact that she does know Ramsey better than the rest of the fellas in the room. All right, yeah, some of that can be useful. The only thing that she can tell him that can be useful to him is the fact that he lays the traps, and he understands that, and he's listening to that. But just like she told him in the previous episode, you don't have enough men. Well, you got to work with what you have. Time was running against the was running against John. You're fighting not only the Boltons, but you're fighting time. You gotta get this done before the snows come in, because you don't want to do that fight in the snows, which is why he was so desperate to do the fight now instead of later. He could, if he had the time and he didn't have to worry about the snow coming, then they would have been able to wait it out a little more and try to get more people. If she would have told him that the veil was going to help, they might have been able to come up with a better plan of attack, but she didn't do that. She decided to play the little finger card and act like him and withhold information, which I thought was, kind of shisty if you ask me. Then of course we get the scene where Davos finds the little stag he made for Shireen, and he realizes that this looks like a pyre that she might have been sacrificed on. Oh man, there's gonna be hell to pay on the next episode. Lucy, you got some splaining to do. Okay, so this is one of the parts I really, really did want to talk about. If you have any love for your family whatsoever, there is going to be a bond there, and you're going to do whatever you can to stop a family member from getting harmed. If you don't have that type of bond with your family, then that means there's something wrong with you. This is the point in which I hear people talking about that John was a bad commander. Well, I'm going to call bullshit on that, because this is his little brother, the only true heir to Winterfell. All right? And he loves his brother. Of course, if my little brother was in that predicament, I would have gone out there on the horse too to go ahead and try to save him. Although I do think my little brother might have been a bit smarter and zigzagged, but we're not going to get into that. The fact is, he's going to go out there and try to save his brother. He went out there on his own volition to go ahead and try to save his brother. He didn't command the rest of it. That was his banners. That was his generals, you might say, that took it upon themselves to do it. Nevertheless, it was done. He's not the only general or hero or commanded to do this. Back in, I think it was March of 1945, Task Force Bomb, late March 1945. It was General Patton's son-in-law was captured and put in a POW camp 50 miles behind enemy lines. This was during the Battle of the Bulge. Okay, so they drew up plans to go and get his son-in-law. Okay? No one's saying now that Patton he made a mistake. It was a blunder. But, it didn't make him a bad commander. He made a bad choice there. He shouldn't have, but it was family. He did that for his son-in-law. Could you imagine what he would have done for his son or his brother? Plenty of generals have done similar moves. It's not that bad of a mistake. And when we move on further, you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, so now you're going to hear one of the few bitchings that I got to say about this episode, and that is right here. If you look right there, okay, what is that? That's a big motherfucker. That's a giant. That's 1-1. He's the man. He's badass. I've always loved 1-1 from the first time I seen him on the show. I thought the Giants were badass. The fact that 1-1 didn't have a fucking tree stump of any kind, because if he would have had a weapon of any kind, look at those pole arms that they got there. If he would have had even a pole arm that size, but as thick as a fucking tree trunk, okay, he could have cleared that line and busted a hole in that line with ease to be able to get people out of that line, so they're not trapped and they have some maneuvering room. Why is this so important? I mean, if you look at the battle for the wall, when the free folk were attacking, the fucking giants had this big ass bow and arrow that just like totally took out somebody from the top of the fucking the wall. And yeah, I mean, fuck, if he had a weapon, why didn't one have a weapon? Someone should have thought of cutting this motherfucker down a tree. And that would have helped them out immensely. That's the only bitching I got. But again, I digress. So let's look at this. Look at that smug look on Littlefinger's face. Doesn't it make you just want to smack him? Just like, motherfucker. You know, where the fuck were you just like 10 minutes earlier? And Sansa, you should have told them you got a hold of the veil. They could have made another plan. But the way things worked out, it wasn't bad at all. I want you to pay close attention to what you see here. If you look here, you'll see that Jon's bannermen are totally surrounded. Yes, there is a part there where the veil is going in, and you see them breaking the lines. But don't pay attention to that for a second, and let's look at sheer volume of men. Now, when they started off this fight, Jon was outnumbered. At the very least, they were outnumbered 2-1. That is no longer the case because at this point right here, if you look right there, at this point right here, the ratio is much less. It actually looks just about dead even. It's just that Jon's forces are in a bad predicament. They're totally surrounded. But if you've ever read The Art of War by Sun Tzu, okay, and mind you, Sun Tzu did this to his own army. When you're put in a situation where you have no choice but to either fight or die, you end up doing much better fighting. And this right here proves that fact. And there's plenty of historical evidence to show that fact to be the truth. You know, but here, this is just an example. These men have put up the best fight that they could fight. They reduced the odds down to just about even. Yeah, they're surrounded on all four sides. Three sides with the oncoming pole arms, and one side with the bodies, and of course, small John Umber and his group coming over the side to stop anyone from going over the hill. But the thing is, look at the sheer volume. They are right now at this point almost dead even. The Veil did come in and save the day because they were able to break through the lines. But this could have ended up much worse. And like I said, when your back is to the wall, like Sun Tzu says, and you have no choice but to either fight or die, you fight that much better. And Sun Tzu did it to his own men, and it proved him right. So I really, really wish people would stop saying that Jon was a bad commander. They ended up doing real good. Just by this picture alone, even if you took out the horses, just by this sheer picture alone, there's still hope. Just saying. Okay, I do have to admit, this part did piss me off. 1-1 getting narrow in the eye. I mean, he was going to die anyway. I mean, he was on his way down. But damn, Jon didn't even get a chance to, like, you know, give him, attaboy, man. You did a great job. You're the man. No. Fucking Ramsay, instead of shooting Jon, who he should have shot, he shoots 1-1. Even though 1-1 was on his way down. Ramsay, a fucking idiot. Yeah, definitely a fucking idiot. Because he should have kept his ass inside the keep to begin with and let them do a siege. But no, they didn't do that. But everyone's talking about how Jon is the bad fucking commander. Get your heads out your asses. So then, of course, we come to the ass-kicking part. I'm going to ground and pound you. And, yeah, man, that was so satisfying to watch Jon just pummel the shit out of Ramsay. But he held back enough. He held back enough to give the kill to Sansa. And that was worth watching. Just to see this look on Sansa's face, for the satisfaction of just watching Ramsay die, by his own dogs, by his own hounds, just to see this little smile on her face was so satisfying to see.
You don't fuck with redheads.
No, that's exactly. You do not fuck with redheads. And that was one redhead Ramsey shouldn't have fucked with. So anyway, this was my review. I thought this was one of the best episodes ever from Game of Thrones.